as Brian Dable was asked about whether or not he's going to be able to play again this season, he was unable to answer in the affirmative, and which obviously is very different than any other mode of operation the past couple of weeks here. And then you look at, and it was a one-word answer, but boy, this is very, very telling. He basically was said to him that it was brought to his attention that he's being much less declarative. Dable simply said, yup, which means they got a massive issue on their hands here with Daniel Jones.
Right. Dable said that previously, not today, obviously, that Jones would play. When that was a couple of weeks ago, whatever. Connor Hughes, Pat Leonard, I'm seeing their stuff on social media here. So Dable had said previously that Jones would play again this season. Now he will not make that statement, and it wasn't just a slip of the tongue or misuse of words, because when followed up, he said, yep, went as to being less declarative. So he knows what he's doing here, which means that this neck issue, as speculated about or maybe anticipated, could be a huge deal here. It is a big deal.
Yeah.
But the fact that he might not be able to play again, I mean, we're going on week 8. He's already been out a few weeks, dude. This is a big problem.
This is very ominous, and this is very sad. All right, so you don't want to overreact here, but yeah, Dable's a guy who hides every card, and he's a smart guy. So for him to answer it that way, you know that there's legitimate concern in the building. If it's the first injury like this to Jones, you worry about this season. Being that it's the second, you almost have to start wondering about his career.
I think even at the time, because of the neck issue, there was some like, hey, this could be a career issue here. And now that it's happened again, I don't think there's any doubt. Now, does that mean that he's not going to play the rest of this year? We don't know. But they're not going to be definitive about it the way that they were, which means it's more serious than previously thought.
Yes.
And on top of it happening again, how could you not speculate? Now, I'm not trying to be a doctor or anything,
but it's not irresponsible to look at it this way right now.
To potentially think that this might be a career-threatening
God
issue
forbid.
here for Daniel Jones.
I mean, the first hit, all right, so when it first happened, it was against Dallas, right? When he put his head down inside the 10, right. Actually, maybe even closer to the goal line. That was a violent collision. That was scary. Unless I'm wrong, the other time that it happened, a couple of weeks back, I'm not saying it would feel good to any one of us, but it didn't look like it was anything crazy, right? Did you think that when you saw I know his neck like kind of snapped, like he got hit from behind and his neck went back. I get that. But it didn't look like a vicious, put it this way, when I saw it in real time, I didn't say, oh, God, his neck.
Right.
I didn't say that.
Me
I
neither.
said that against Dallas. I didn't say that the other couple of weeks back. So why this worries me is, if it's less and less of an explosion or a violent hit that does this to him, you really have to start wondering about his career. I hate to even say that.
The other thing, and again, this is just speculation. We're going based off of the facts that we know, but speculating here. In the previous weeks, it felt like there was a chance, like early on, that Jones might be able to play. They're like, okay, well, we're going to see he's not cleared for contact yet. And maybe the thought process within the building was, we'll see if it's going to get better, right? Like people look at it and say, okay, doesn't seem to be that bad.
Yep.
To a point where Dable says he'll play again this year. Doesn't seem to be that bad. But they are expecting it to get better, right? And then they say, okay, well, he's going to be ruled out this week and then ruled out the following week. And then you come into this week and you're thinking, all right, well, maybe it's going to get better. And now it's been 3 weeks potentially, whatever it's been exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been no improvement.
No. And it's actually gotten worse. It's gotten more ominous with the way Dable handled
I guess
this today.
that's the point, right? There hasn't been any improvement.
No.
And now they don't know what's going on because maybe they expected it to get better by this point to where they say, I have no idea if he's going to be playing again the rest of this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it. The other thing, too, is, and we just found out he was on the scout team this week, right? So it's not a lack of functionality. Like, if you're on the scout team, you're going out there, obviously you're not going to get hit. You can run. You can replicate what you think Zach Wilson will do. You're obviously throwing the football. You're on the scout team. You're the other team's quarterback, right? So it's not, and the word functionality to me is very important. It seems like he's functional. He's moving, he's throwing, and he's relatively pain-free doing so. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the scout team. What worries me is that because he's functional, but he's nowhere near a game, they're probably deducing, and again, I'm trying to stay in my lane, but we're dealing with this in real time, so that he could be a hit away from something really bad happening.
Right. And I think that's part of the problem, or the problem.
Yeah, and it's one thing if it's the knee or a contusion or a hamstring. You mess around with the neck, the spine, the head. You just don't mess around with that.
So he's probably ready to do whatever he needs to do, which is why they've been waiting, thinking it's going to get better. When's he going to get cleared? When's he going to get cleared? And he's just not getting cleared for contact. And it sounds now, like you said, ominous, which is, I mean, I don't know how at this point, you know, all the years of evaluating Daniel Jones and still at this year coming off of the success last year, I mean, I don't know how you can question that it might be the end. And by the way, even if it's not, let's say best case scenario, Jones comes back next week or 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah. What about next year when he gets hit? Or next or 2 weeks when he gets hit? I know.
And his strength is not a pocket passer. He's a guy that is his greatest attribute is his athleticism and physicality as a quarterback. Like, that's what it's been. They've been running him into the ground last year to have their success.
Yep.
His greatest strength right now today, it doesn't mean he can't throw the football. This was supposed to be a year where we evaluate and see if he could. But his greatest asset right now has been his legs and his physicality, him running the football, which leads to contact. And it doesn't even mean that if he didn't run the football more that he could be healthy, because you obviously could get hit standing behind any offensive line.
Like he got hit?
That's what I mean. But when you're that close to... It sucks, man. That's bad news.
This doesn't sound good at all.